The crutch clattered against the tile floor, echoing through the crowded hallway like a gunshot. Lily Anderson went down hard, her leg brace scraping against the wall as she fell. Books scattered. Students stepped over her without looking. Then Brandon Pierce's designer sneaker connected with her crutch, kicking it across the hall. "Oops," he said, laughing. Ashley Morrison's phone was already recording, her perfectly manicured finger hovering over the post button. Lily's hands shook as she crawled toward her scattered belongings, tears burning her eyes. She didn't see the man in the navy camouflage uniform, watching from the end of the hall, his jaw clenched, his fists tight. She didn't see the German shepherd at his side, ears forward, body tense. She didn't know her father's best friend had been watching for weeks, documenting everything, waiting for the right moment. Before we continue with Lily's story, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us share stories that matter, stories about courage, justice, and standing up for those who can't stand up for themselves. And leave a comment telling us what city you're watching from so we can see how far this message of hope travels across the world. Now, let's go back to where this all began. The warning bell rang. Students flooded toward classrooms. Lily stayed on her knees, gathering textbooks with shaking hands, trying to be invisible, trying not to cry where anyone could see. Her right leg throbbed, the one with the brace, the one that would never fully heal, the one that reminded her every single day that the car accident had taken everything. Her mother, her mobility, her old life. The life where she'd been whole. "Need help, Gimp?" Brandon's voice came from above her, dripping with false concern. Lily didn't look up. "No, thank you." "You sure? Because it looks like you're struggling." He crouched down, his expensive cologne overwhelming. "Must be hard, you know, being a cripple and all." The word hit like a slap. Lily's fingers tightened around her history textbook. "Brandon, leave her alone," someone said. A girl's voice, hesitant, quickly hushed by her friends. "I'm just being nice," Brandon said louder, playing to the small crowd that had gathered. Unlike her dad, who couldn't even stick around to take care of his own kid. Lily's vision blurred. Her father. Petty Officer First Class James Anderson, Navy SEAL. Killed in action 8 months ago in some desert she couldn't pronounce, doing something the government wouldn't explain, leaving her with nothing but folded flags and empty promises about honor and sacrifice. "My father died serving his country," Lily said quietly, still not looking up. "That what they told you?" Brandon straightened, addressing the crowd now. "My dad says most of those guys get kicked out for drug problems or violence. Says they make up heroic stories to save face. Says, 'Your dad's a liar.'" The voice cut through the hallway like a blade. Deep, controlled, absolutely certain. Everyone turned. The man who stood at the end of the hall was tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a Navy working uniform, with a kind of bearing that made civilians unconsciously straighten their spines. His hair was short, dark brown with threads of gray at the temples. His eyes, gray-green and sharp, locked onto Brandon with the kind of focus that made prey animals freeze. At his side, a German shepherd stood at perfect attention, tan and black coat gleaming, ears forward, watching Brandon with the same intensity as his handler. "Who the hell are you?" Brandon asked, his bravado faltering slightly. "Lieutenant Commander Nathan Cross, U.S. Navy, retired." Nathan's voice stayed level, professional. "And I served with Petty Officer Anderson. So when I tell you your father's a liar, I'm speaking from personal knowledge." The hallway had gone completely silent. Nathan walked forward slowly, deliberately. The German shepherd moved with him, disciplined but alert. Students pressed back against lockers, making space. "Petty Officer Anderson earned 3 Bronze Stars, 2 Purple Hearts, and the Navy Cross for valor," Nathan said, his voice carrying to every corner of the hall. "He saved 11 lives during his last mission before giving his own. He was one of the finest men I've ever known." So when some spoiled kid repeats lies his daddy told him to justify his own failures. I take that personally. Brandon's face flushed red. You can't talk to me like that. My father's on the school board. I'll have you... You'll have me what? Arrested for correcting factual inaccuracies? For defending a fallen hero's reputation? Nathan stopped about 10 feet away. Not threatening, just present. Go ahead. Make the call. I'll wait. Ashley stepped forward, phone still recording. This is harassment. We're students. You're an adult threatening us. I haven't threatened anyone. I've stated facts. Nathan's gaze shifted to her. But since you're recording, let me add some more facts for your social media. That girl on the floor? Her name is Lily Anderson. She's 17 years old. 8 months ago, her father died in combat. 6 months ago, her mother died in a car accident that also left Lily with permanent injuries. She lives with her grandmother, who works 2 jobs to keep them afloat. And for the past 3 months, you've been systematically destroying what's left of her life. Posting photos, spreading lies, physical harassment, cyberbullying. All documented, all time-stamped, all prosecutable. Ashley's phone wavered. We were just what? Just being kids? Just having fun? Nathan's voice stayed calm, but something dangerous flickered in his eyes. Lily's father asked me to watch over her if anything happened to him. Made me promise. So I've been watching and documenting every single thing you've done. Tyler Chen, Brandon's best friend, had been filming from the side. He lowered his phone slowly. You've been stalking us? I've been observing a minor in my care who reported feeling unsafe at school. That's called protective custody. Legal. Necessary. And in this case, very revealing. Nathan pulled out his own phone. For example, last Tuesday at 2:15 p.m., you filmed Lily falling down the stairs after someone, still unidentified, pushed her. You posted it with the caption, "Watch the gimp tumble." Got 47 likes before the school made you take it down. Tyler's face went pale. Wednesday at noon, Ashley led a group of girls who cornered Lily in the bathroom and demanded she show them her leg scars. When she refused, you tried to forcibly remove her brace. Lily fought back. You reported her for assault. Security footage shows otherwise. I have copies. Ashley's perfect composure cracked. That's private property. You can't... Your school principal gave me access as part of my volunteer position. I'm the new career counselor. Didn't you see the announcement? Nathan's expression didn't change. Been here 6 weeks, observing, documenting, building a case. Brandon found his voice again, though it came out weaker than before. You're crazy. You can't prove anything. 14,632 screenshots of social media posts targeting Lily. 47 documented physical incidents. Witness statements from 12 students who were afraid to speak up before. Medical records showing injuries consistent with assault. And testimony from 3 other students who left this school in the past 2 years because of similar harassment. All from the same group. Nathan's gray-green eyes bored into Brandon. Your group. The hallway felt like it had run out of air. That's impossible, Brandon said. Those other kids, they just transferred. They left because your father's donations bought their silence. But money doesn't buy federal compliance. Title IX violations, disability discrimination, cyberbullying statutes. You didn't just torment Lily. You committed crimes, plural, documented, prosecutable. Lily, still on the floor, stared at Nathan with something like shock. He'd been watching? For 6 weeks? She'd thought she was completely alone. The German Shepherd moved then, breaking his disciplined stance to walk to Lily. He lowered his head, nudging her hand gently with his nose. Not aggressive, comforting. "This is Sergeant," Nathan said, his voice softening slightly when he looked at Lily. "He's a therapy dog, certified. Your grandmother and I discussed getting him approved for school accommodation. Paperwork went through yesterday. He'll be accompanying you to classes from now on." "I don't need," Lily started. "Yes, you do." Nathan's tone left no room for argument. "And wanting help isn't weakness. It's wisdom. Your father taught me that." Brandon laughed, sharp, brittle. "This is insane. You can't just show up and—" "I already did, and the principal, superintendent, and school board will be meeting with Detective Maria Santos this afternoon to discuss the findings of her investigation into systemic bullying and administrative negligence." Nathan checked his watch. "That meeting starts in 45 minutes. You three should probably call your parents. They'll want lawyers present." "You're bluffing," Ashley said, but her voice shook. "Am I?" Nathan pulled up an email on his phone, turned it so they could see. Official Police Department header. Detective Santos's name. Subject line: Anderson case. Charges pending. Tyler actually stumbled back. "We didn't do anything illegal. It's high school stuff. Everyone doesn't assault disabled students. Everyone doesn't mock dead veterans. Everyone doesn't weaponize social media to destroy someone's mental health." Nathan's voice hardened. "But you did, and now you face consequences." The second bell rang. Students scattered, whispering, phones out, already spreading the word. The confrontation would be viral by lunch. Brandon stood frozen, his calculated cruelty meeting someone who couldn't be intimidated by money or status or threats. "My father will destroy you." "Your father will try. He'll fail. Because I didn't come here as some random veteran playing hero. I came here as the executor of James Anderson's will, the legal guardian designate for his minor daughter, and a material witness to 3 months of systematic abuse. I'm not some outsider you can dismiss. I'm family, and I'm not going anywhere." Lily's hands had stopped shaking. Sergeant pressed against her leg, the good one, offering warmth and solidarity. She looked up at Nathan, this stranger who'd known her father, who'd apparently been watching her suffer and documenting it for weeks. "Why didn't you help sooner?" The question came out smaller than she intended. Nathan crouched down, eye level with her. His expression softened, and for the first time she saw past the military bearing to the grief underneath. "Because helping wrong makes things worse. Your father taught me that in Kandahar. Taught me that rushing in without intel gets people killed. So I watched. I documented. I built a case so airtight that when I finally acted, no one could undo it. No lawyers, no money, no influence." He paused. "I'm sorry you suffered while I gathered evidence, but I promised your dad I'd protect you. And protection done right isn't rescue. It's justice." Tears finally spilled over, running down Lily's cheeks. "He made you promise?" "Last thing he said to me. Watch over my girl. Don't let the world break her. And I failed him for 8 months because I didn't know where you were. Didn't know you needed watching. But I know now. And I'm here." Nathan extended his hand. "Let me help. Please." Lily looked at his hand. Looked at Sergeant, who'd positioned himself between her and the bullies without being asked. Looked at the students watching from doorways, witnesses now instead of bystanders. She took Nathan's hand. He pulled her up carefully, handed her the crutch, steadied her until she found her balance. Brandon, Ashley, and Tyler stood clustered together, their power evaporating in real time. The victims becoming the vulnerable, the hunters becoming the hunted. "This isn't over," Brandon said, but it sounded hollow. "You're right," Nathan agreed. "It's not over. It's just beginning. Because now you face the consequences you've avoided your whole lives. Now you learn that money doesn't buy immunity, that being young doesn't excuse cruelty, that actions have consequences. He turned to Lily. "Come on, let's get you to class. Sergeant needs to learn his route." They walked away together, Nathan matching his pace to hers, Sergeant at her other side. 3 beings moving as a unit. Behind them, Brandon, Ashley, and Tyler stood in the emptying hallway, their world crumbling around them. In the principal's office, phones were ringing. In the parking lot, expensive cars were arriving. Lawyers, parents, damage control. In classrooms, students were whispering, recording, finally speaking up about things they'd witnessed but been too afraid to report. And in the guidance counselor's office, Lily sat down across from Nathan while Sergeant settled at her feet. "I don't understand," she said. "How did you even find me? How did you know?" "Your father left instructions. Letters. One for you, you'll get it when you're 18, his wishes. One for me. Addresses, guardianship paperwork, everything I'd need if something happened to him and your mother." Nathan's voice roughened slightly. He was always prepared for the worst. "Drove me crazy on missions. But in this case, his paranoia saved you." "The car accident." "I know. I'm sorry. I was deployed when it happened. Didn't get the notification until I rotated home 6 weeks ago. Came straight here. Found you. Saw what was happening. And started building the case." Lily wiped her eyes. "Why didn't you just tell me? Why let me think I was alone?" "Because you weren't ready to trust anyone, and you needed to see me act before you'd believe I was real." Nathan leaned forward. "Lily, your father was my best friend. My brother. We survived things together that would break most people. And when he died," his voice cracked slightly. "When he died, I felt like I failed him. Like I should have been there, should have taken the hit instead. I've been carrying that for 8 months. But he left me one last mission, one last chance to honor him. And that mission is you." The words hit harder than any of Brandon's insults ever had, because they were true. Because they came from someone who'd known her father not as a distant hero, but as a man, a friend, a brother. "What happens now?" Lily asked. "Now we wait for the meeting. Let Detective Santos do her job. Let the evidence speak. And then—" Nathan paused. "Then we figure out what you need. Counseling, physical therapy, academic support. Whatever it takes to get you back on track. Your father left some money in trust. Not a fortune, but enough. And the SEAL Foundation has programs for families of fallen. You're not alone anymore, Lily. You never will be again." Sergeant lifted his head, resting his chin on Lily's knee. She reached down automatically, fingers sinking into his thick coat. "He likes you," Nathan said. "Sergeant doesn't trust easily, but he knows family when he sees it." "I'm not family. I'm just—" "You're James Anderson's daughter. That makes you family to every SEAL who served with him. We take care of our own." "Always." The intercom crackled. "Lily Anderson to the principal's office. Lily Anderson to the principal's office." Nathan stood. "That'll be the meeting. Ready?" "No." "Good. Fear means you understand the stakes. Fear means you're smart." He offered his hand again. "But fear doesn't mean we quit. It means we fight smarter. Together." Lily took his hand, stood, grabbed her crutch. Sergeant rose with her, positioning himself at her side like he'd been doing it all his life. They walked toward the principal's office, and with every step, Lily felt something shifting inside her. Not confidence yet, not strength, but possibility. The possibility that maybe, just maybe, the nightmare was ending, that someone had finally refused to look away, that her father's sacrifice had left her something more valuable than medals and folded flags. It had left her Nathan Cross, and that changed everything. In the principal's office, Brandon's father was already shouting about lawsuits and slander. Ashley's mother was crying about her daughter's reputation. Tyler's parents were demanding to know who gave some stranger access to their son's private information. Detective Santos sat calmly at the conference table, a folder thick with evidence in front of her, her expression suggesting she'd heard every excuse 100 times before and wasn't impressed by any of them. When Lily walked in with Nathan and Sargent, the room went silent. Brandon's father, a man in his 50s with the same entitled smirk as his son, looked at Nathan and sneered. "Who the hell are you?" "The man who's about to end your son's future if you don't sit down and listen." Nathan's voice was military flat, brooking no argument. "Is that a threat?" "It's a promise." Detective Santos cleared her throat. "Mr. Pierce, I suggest you save your bluster for your lawyer. You're going to need it." Detective Maria Santos opened the folder with deliberate care, her dark eyes scanning the room with the kind of patience that came from 20 years of watching guilty people squirm. She was in her mid-40s, lean and professional, wearing a blazer that couldn't quite hide the badge and weapon at her hip. "Let's establish some ground rules," she said. "This is not a negotiation. This is not a discussion. This is me informing you of the charges your children are facing and giving you one opportunity to cooperate before this becomes significantly worse for everyone involved." "Charges?" Ashley's mother, a woman who looked like an older, more polished version of her daughter, stood up abruptly. "My daughter hasn't done anything wrong. This is a misunderstanding." "Sit down, Mrs. Morrison." Detective Santos didn't raise her voice. Didn't need to. "Or leave. Your choice." Mrs. Morrison sat. Brandon's father, Richard Pierce, leaned back in his chair with the kind of aggressive casualness that screamed old money and newer arrogance. "Detective, I don't know what this man has told you, but I can assure you it's fabricated. My son is a model student, honor roll, varsity athlete, college-bound. He doesn't have time for whatever fantasy the stranger has concocted." "Lieutenant Commander Cross isn't a stranger," Detective Santos corrected. "He's the legal guardian designate for Lily Anderson, as specified in her father's will. He has every right to be here. More right than you, actually, since this concerns his ward." Richard's expression flickered. "Legal guardian? She has a grandmother who is elderly, works 2 jobs, and requested Nathan Cross assume guardianship responsibilities as outlined in Petty Officer Anderson's estate documents." Nathan's voice was calm, factual. "Paperwork was filed with family court 3 weeks ago. Judge approved it yesterday. I have legal standing." "That's convenient timing," Richard said. "That's proper planning. Something your son should have learned from you." Nathan pulled a document from his jacket pocket, slid it across the table to the principal, a pale, sweating man named Gerald Hoffman, who looked like he wanted to disappear. "Those are the guardianship papers, notarized, legal, giving me full authority to act on Lily's behalf in all matters, including pressing charges." Principal Hoffman's hands shook as he examined the papers. "Now," Detective Santos said, reclaiming control, "let's review what we have, starting with the cyberbullying campaign." She pulled out her laptop, turned it to face the parents. On screen was a compilation, screenshots, posts, comments, videos, all time-stamped, all attributed to accounts belonging to Brandon, Ashley, and Tyler. The first image showed Lily's face photoshopped onto a body in a wheelchair with the caption, "How Daddy's little gimp gets around." Mrs. Morrison gasped. "Ashley would never." Posted from her account, October 14th at 9:47 p.m. Detective Santos scrolled. Here's another, November 3rd. Lily's face on a gravestone with the text, "Following Daddy to the grave soon." Ashley, sitting beside her mother, had gone completely pale. Those were jokes. Everyone jokes online. It didn't mean anything. It meant enough that Lily attempted suicide on November 7th. Nathan's voice cut through the room like a blade. Lily's head snapped up. She hadn't told anyone that. Hadn't told her grandmother about the pills she'd counted out. About the note she'd started writing. About the moment she'd stood at the bathroom sink, trying to decide if the pain was worth surviving. "I didn't," Lily started. "Your grandmother found the note," Nathan said gently, looking at her. "She called me. That's when I knew I had to act faster. That's when I contacted Detective Santos." The room went silent. "You can't prove my daughter's posts caused that," Mrs. Morrison said, but her voice had lost its conviction. "Actually, I can." Nathan pulled out another document. "This is Lily's journal, written in her own hand. Dated entries correlating posts from your daughter and her friends with documented emotional deterioration. November 6th entry reads, "They're right. I should just die. Dad's already gone. Mom's gone. No one would even notice if I disappeared. Maybe I should make it easy for everyone." Lily's eyes burned. She'd forgotten about that journal. Her therapist had suggested it, back when her grandmother had insisted she see someone. She'd written 3 entries before giving up. "That's private," Lily whispered. "That's evidence," Nathan said softly. "And I'm sorry, but I needed it. To protect you. To stop them." Tyler's parents, a quiet couple who'd been silent until now, looked at their son with something like horror. "Tyler, what did you do?" "Nothing. I posted some videos. That's it. Everyone does it." "Show them the videos," Detective Santos said to Nathan. Nathan pulled out his phone, connected it to the laptop. The screen filled with Tyler's social media feed. Video after video. Lily falling in the hallway. Lily struggling to open her locker with one hand while balancing on her crutch. Lily eating alone in the corner of the cafeteria. Lily crying in the bathroom when she thought no one was watching. Each video had captions. Each caption was cruel. Each had hundreds of views, dozens of comments, all of them vicious. "Oh my God," Tyler's mother whispered. "It gets worse," Detective Santos said. She clicked to another folder. "This is the assault footage." The video played. Security camera timestamp November 20th. School stairwell. Lily climbing stairs slowly, carefully. Brandon approaching from behind, his hand on her back. A push. Not dramatic, just enough. Lily pitching forward, catching herself in the railing at the last second. Her crutch clattering down the stairs, her leg brace hitting the concrete edge with a sickening crack. Brandon walking away, laughing. "That's assault," Detective Santos said. "Clear. Documented. Prosecutable." "She didn't fall," Richard said quickly. "She caught herself. No harm done. She fractured her ankle. Required emergency surgery. Missed 2 weeks of school. Has permanent nerve damage." Nathan's voice was ice. "The medical records are in the file. So is the surgeon's statement that the injury was consistent with being pushed." "This is circumstantial. You can't prove—" "Watch the next video." Detective Santos clicked again. Different angle, same incident. This one showed Brandon's face clearly, showed the deliberate placement of his hand, showed his smirk as Lily fell. "That's from Tyler's phone," Nathan said. "He filmed it, posted it, deleted it when Lily's grandmother complained to the school. But we recovered it from cloud storage, along with 43 other deleted videos showing similar incidents." Tyler was crying now. "I didn't mean for her to get hurt. I just thought it was funny. Everyone was watching. I wanted likes." "You got them," Detective Santos said. "You also got multiple counts of assault, conspiracy, and cyberbullying charges." "This is insane," Richard stood up. "You're destroying these kids' futures over high school drama, over hurt feelings. This is political correctness run amok." "Your son pushed a disabled girl down the stairs," Nathan said, standing to match him. "He spread lies about her dead father, He orchestrated a 3-month campaign of psychological torture that drove her to contemplate suicide. That's not high school drama. That's criminal behavior. She's playing victim. Kids do that. They exaggerate for attention. Mr. Pierce, Detective Santos's voice cut like a whip. I'm going to give you one chance to sit down and shut up. If you choose not to take it, I will charge you with obstruction of justice and have you removed from this meeting. Richard's face turned purple. You can't talk to me like that. I donate to the Police Athletic League. I know the commissioner personally. One phone call. Make it. Detective Santos pulled out her phone, set it on the table. Call whoever you want, because this case isn't going away. Not for money, not for influence, not for threats. Richard grabbed his phone, started dialing. Stepped out of the office, his voice rising in the hallway. The door closed behind him. Anyone else want to make calls? Detective Santos asked. No one moved. Good. Let's continue. She turned to Principal Hoffman. How many complaints has this school received about Brandon Pierce in the past 3 years? Hoffman shifted uncomfortably. I'd have to check I already checked. 17 formal complaints, 23 informal reports to teachers and counselors. All dismissed. All buried. Care to explain why? Mr. Pierce is a significant donor to the school. You have to consider the safety of your students. That's your legal obligation. Title IX, Americans with Disabilities Act. Basic human decency. Detective Santos leaned forward. You failed, Lily Anderson. You failed every student Brandon Pierce tormented. And you did it because a rich man wrote checks. That's not fair. We followed protocol. You followed money. Nathan's voice was quiet, but absolute. And that makes you complicit. Not just in Lily's suffering, in the suffering of every other victim. Other victims? Mrs. Morrison looked up sharply. Transferred after your group posted her home address online and encouraged people to visit the scholarship trash. Her family moved out of the district entirely. The room felt airless. All 3 girls have provided statements, Nathan added. All 3 are willing to testify. All 3 describe the same pattern. Target vulnerable students, isolate them, destroy them systematically, and when they leave, move to the next victim. Lily was next, Detective Santos said. Except this time, someone was watching. Someone who knew how to build a case. Someone who refused to let it continue. Ashley was sobbing now. I didn't know it was that bad. I thought we were just messing around. I thought they were being oversensitive. You thought wrong, Nathan said. The door opened. Richard Pierce walked back in, his face ashen. I just spoke with the commissioner. And? Detective Santos asked. He said... Richard's voice cracked. He said to cooperate fully, that this case has federal attention, that there's nothing he can do. Federal? Tyler's father spoke for the first time. Why is this federal? Cyberbullying that crosses state lines is federal jurisdiction, Detective Santos explained. Your son posted videos that were viewed in 47 states. That makes it FBI territory. They're deciding whether to file additional charges. Oh, God, Tyler's mother grabbed her son's hand. Tyler, what have you done? I didn't think. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Tyler looked at Lily for the first time. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Brandon said it was funny. He said you wouldn't care. Brandon said. Detective Santos pounced on that. So Brandon was directing the harassment? Tyler hesitated, looking at Brandon. Brandon's expression had gone carefully blank. Tyler, his father said quietly, tell the truth, right now. Yeah. Brandon picked the targets, told us what to post, gave us ideas for pranks, said his dad would protect us if anything went wrong. Tyler's voice dropped to a whisper. He said we were untouchable. The betrayal on Brandon's face was immediate. You're lying. I have the texts, Nathan said. Brandon's texts to Tyler and Ashley. Instructions on how to harass Lily. Specific suggestions. One from 3 days ago that says, and I quote, "Push the cripple harder. Dad says her grandmother can't afford lawyers." Every eye in the room turned to Richard Pierce. I never said that. But Richard's voice wavered. You did. The new voice came from the doorway. A woman in her 60s, small and tired but standing straight. Lily's grandmother, Margaret Anderson. She walked in slowly, her purse clutched in arthritic hands. You said it to me, 2 weeks ago, when I came to complain about the harassment. You told me to teach my granddaughter not to be so sensitive, that boys will be boys, that I couldn't afford to make waves. Mrs. Anderson, Principal Hoffman started. I'm sure Mr. Pierce didn't mean... He meant every word. Margaret's voice shook but held. And when I said I'd go to the police, he told me no one would believe a grieving old woman over his son, that I should remember my place. Is this true? Detective Santos asked Richard. I was trying to de-escalate a situation. I didn't threaten anyone. You threatened me. Margaret looked at him with a kind of fury only grandmothers can muster. You threatened my girl, and you did it because you thought we were too poor, too broken, too powerless to fight back. This is hearsay. It's her word against mine. Actually, Nathan said, pulling out yet another phone, it's on recording. Mrs. Anderson started recording conversations after the first complaint was dismissed. She has 3 separate recordings of you dismissing her concerns and threatening consequences if she pursued them. Richard's lawyer, who'd been silent until now, closed his eyes. Richard, stop talking. Those recordings are illegal without consent, Richard said desperately. Minnesota is a one-party consent state, Detective Santos said. The recordings are perfectly legal. And damning. The room fell silent again. Ashley was still crying. Tyler looked like he might vomit. Brandon sat rigid, his whole world collapsing around him. Here's what happens now, Detective Santos said. Your children are being charged with assault, harassment, cyberbullying, and conspiracy. Mr. Pierce, you're being charged with witness intimidation and obstruction of justice. Principal Hoffman, the superintendent is launching an investigation into your handling of complaints, and I suspect you'll be facing disciplinary action at minimum. This will ruin them, Mrs. Morrison whispered. They're just kids. They made mistakes. They committed crimes, Nathan corrected. Repeatedly, deliberately, against a vulnerable minor who'd already lost everything. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. What do you want? Richard asked finally. Money? A settlement? Name your price. The words hung in the air like poison. Nathan stood slowly, walked around the table until he was directly in front of Richard Pierce. You think everything has a price, that you can buy your way out of anything. But you can't buy back Lily's father. Can't buy back her mother. Can't buy back the 8 months she spent thinking she was worthless and alone. Can't buy back the night she almost swallowed those pills because your son convinced her the world would be better without her. I want justice, Lily said suddenly. Her voice was quiet but clear. Everyone turned to look at her. I want them to face consequences. I want other kids to know that bullies don't win, that money doesn't protect you from being a terrible person, that there are people who care enough to fight back. Margaret reached over, squeezed her granddaughter's hand. Justice it is, Detective Santos said. She pulled out a stack of papers. These are charging documents. Your children will be arraigned tomorrow morning. I recommend you hire good lawyers. This is political, Richard said, grasping at anything. You're targeting wealthy students. This is class warfare." "No," Nathan said quietly. "This is a Navy SEAL, keeping a promise to his brother. This is a detective, doing her job. This is a grandmother, protecting her granddaughter. This is a community, finally saying, enough. Your money, your influence, your name. None of it matters when you're wrong. And you're wrong." The meeting dissolved into chaos. Parents calling lawyers. The principal calling the superintendent. Tyler's mother crying. Ashley demanding to know why her life was being destroyed over stupid posts. Through it all, Lily sat quietly, Sergeant's head resting on her lap, Nathan standing behind her like a wall, Margaret holding her hand. "Is it really over?" Lily whispered to Nathan. "The meeting? Yes. The fight? It's just beginning. But you're not fighting alone anymore." Outside the principal's office, word had spread. Students lined the hallways, phones out, waiting. When the door opened and the parents emerged, faces red, voices raised, the phones started recording. Brandon pushed through the crowd, his mask finally cracking. "This is bullshit. You're all going to regret this. My father will sue every single one of you." "Brandon," Nathan's voice stopped him. "One more threat. Just one. And I'll have you arrested right here. Test me." Brandon opened his mouth, saw Nathan's expression, and closed it again. He walked away, Ashley and Tyler trailing behind him, their former confidence shattered. Detective Santos pulled Nathan aside. "The FBI wants to interview Lily. They're considering additional charges under the Cyberbullying Prevention Act." "When?" "Tomorrow, after the arraignment." She paused. "You did good work, Commander. This case is airtight." It had to be. For her. For her father. He'd be proud. "I hope so." Lily walked out between her grandmother and Nathan, Sergeant at her side. Students parted for them, and something shifted in the way they looked at her. Not pity anymore. Not mockery. Respect. Recognition. The girl who'd survived. The girl who'd fought back. In the parking lot, a news van was pulling up. Word had gotten out faster than expected. "We should go," Margaret said. But Lily stopped. "No, I want to talk to them." "You don't have to," Nathan said. "I know, but I want to. I want other kids who are being bullied to know it gets better, that there's help, that they're not alone." Nathan looked at her, this girl who'd been broken 8 months ago, who'd almost given up, who was now standing straight despite her brace, despite her crutch, despite everything. "Okay," he said, "but we do it together." They walked toward the reporter together, and Lily Anderson, daughter of a fallen SEAL, survivor of unthinkable loss, victim turned advocate, began to tell her story to the world. Behind them, through the school windows, Brandon Pierce watched. And for the first time in his entitled life, he felt fear. Because money couldn't buy him out of this, influence couldn't save him, and the girl he'd tried to destroy was standing taller than he'd ever be. The battle was far from over. But the war? Lily had just won the first major victory, and she'd learned something her father had tried to teach her from beyond the grave. You're never alone when you have people who refuse to give up on you. The reporter was young, maybe 25, with perfectly styled hair and an expression that shifted from professional curiosity to genuine concern when she saw Lily's leg brace and crutch. "Are you Lily Anderson?" she asked, microphone already extended. Lily's throat went dry. Every instinct screamed to run, to hide, to protect herself from more exposure. But Nathan's hand touched her shoulder lightly, grounding her, and Sergeant pressed against her leg with reassuring weight. "Yes," Lily said. Her voice came out smaller than she wanted, but it came out. "I'm Jennifer Hayes from Channel 7 News. We received a tip about a bullying incident at this school. Can you tell us what happened?" "My daughter doesn't have to answer your questions," Margaret said quickly, stepping forward. No, Grandma. I want to. Lily looked at Jennifer. For 3 months, I was harassed, assaulted, and cyberbullied by students at this school. They targeted me because I'm disabled, because my father died serving his country, because they thought I was too weak to fight back. The camera operator moved closer, lens focusing on Lily's face. What kind of harassment are we talking about? Jennifer asked gently. They posted photos of me online, with captions mocking my disability. They spread lies about my father's service. They pushed me downstairs. They tried to forcibly remove my leg brace. They told me daily that I should kill myself, that the world would be better without me. Lily's voice strengthened with each sentence. And when my grandmother complained to the school, she was threatened, told to keep quiet, told we couldn't afford to make waves. Who threatened her? Nathan stepped forward. Richard Pierce, school board member, major donor, father of the primary bully. He used his wealth and influence to silence complaints and protect his son from consequences. Are charges being filed? Multiple charges, Detective Santos said, appearing beside them, against 3 students and Mr. Pierce himself. This is an active investigation, so I can't comment on specifics, but I can say this is one of the most thoroughly documented cases of systematic bullying I've seen in 20 years of law enforcement. Jennifer turned back to Lily. What do you want people to know? Lily thought about the pills she'd counted out, the note she'd started, the moment she'd decided living hurt too much. Then she thought about Nathan showing up, documenting everything, refusing to let her disappear. I want other kids who are being bullied to know they're not alone, that it's not their fault, that there are people who will help if you ask, that bullies only win if we stay silent. Her eyes found the camera directly. And I want bullies to know that your money, your popularity, your parents' influence, none of it protects you from being a terrible person. None of it matters when you're wrong. Strong words from a brave young woman, Jennifer said. We'll be following this story closely. The interview ended. Within an hour, the footage was online. Within 3 hours, it had 10,000 views. By midnight, it was national news. Lily's phone started ringing at 7 p.m. Unknown numbers, reporters, advocacy groups, other students from other schools sharing their own stories. The phone rang so much, Margaret finally turned it off. You did good today, Nathan said. He was sitting at their small kitchen table, Sergeant at his feet, helping Margaret make dinner because she was too shaken to do it alone. I'm scared, Lily admitted. What if this makes it worse? What if they come after me harder now? They can't. Brandon, Ashley, and Tyler are under court order to stay away from you. No contact, no social media, no third-party communication. They violate that, they go to juvenile detention immediately. What about their friends? What about school tomorrow? Tomorrow you stay home. Rest. Let the lawyers and detectives handle the arraignment. Let the school deal with the fallout. Nathan set down the knife he'd been using to chop vegetables. Lily, I need you to understand something. This gets harder before it gets easier. The news coverage, the attention, the scrutiny, it's going to be intense. But it's also going to help. Other victims will come forward. The case will get stronger. And the school will have no choice but to change. Or they'll expel me for causing trouble. They touch you, and I'll sue them into bankruptcy. Nathan's voice was flat, absolute. You're the victim. You have legal protection. And you have me. Margaret set a pot on the stove with shaking hands. I should have protected her better. Should have done more. You did everything you could, Nathan said gently. You worked 2 jobs to keep her fed and housed. You reported the bullying. You fought when they told you to be quiet. You called me when you found that note. You saved her life, Margaret. Everything that's happening now is because you refused to give up. I just wish James was here. He'd know what to do. James left instructions, left me, left resources. He knew exactly what to do, and he did it before he even died. He protected Lily the only way he could. Nathan paused, and he'd be proud of both of you right now. Lily's phone buzzed on the counter, despite being silenced. A text from an unknown number. "You're going to regret this, you crippled bitch. My lawyers will destroy you. Your life is over." Lily's hands went cold. She showed Nathan the screen. His expression hardened. "Screenshot that. Forward it to Detective Santos, and give me your phone." "Why?" "Because I'm changing your number tonight. And because whoever sent that just committed another crime. Witness intimidation, harassment, violation of court order if it came from any of the defendants." Another text. "My dad says your Navy boyfriend can't protect you forever. Accidents happen to people who cause problems." "That's a death threat," Margaret whispered. Nathan was already dialing. "Maria, it's Nathan. We've got threats coming in. Multiple texts, anonymous numbers. I'm forwarding them now." He listened, nodded. "Yeah, Lily's safe. I'm staying here tonight. Sergeant too." Another pause. "Good. Let me know what you find." He hung up, looked at Lily. "Detective Santos is tracing the numbers. She's also putting a patrol car outside tonight, just as a precaution." "This is insane," Lily said. "They're threatening to kill me over getting in trouble for bullying?" "No, they're desperate, cornered, realizing they might actually face consequences for the first time in their lives. Desperate people make stupid mistakes. Let them." More texts flooded in, different numbers, same threats. "You think you're so brave? Wait until the news cycle moves on. Wait until people forget. We'll be waiting. My father owns half this town. You're nobody. This will go away, and then you'll pay. Your dead daddy can't save you. Your fake protector can't watch you forever. You're going to suffer." Nathan took the phone, read each one, forwarded them all to Detective Santos. "They're giving us everything we need. Every threat, every message, every attempt to intimidate. It strengthens the case. It shows pattern, shows intent, shows exactly who we're dealing with." "I want this to stop," Lily said quietly. "I know. Soon." Nathan handed back the phone. "But first, it gets worse. Tomorrow's arraignment will be covered by media. The defendant's lawyers will try to paint you as the aggressor. They'll claim you're exaggerating, seeking attention, lying for sympathy. They'll attack your credibility, your mental health, your motives. How do you know? Because it's what I'd do if I was defending the indefensible. Attack the victim's character, make the jury doubt, create reasonable uncertainty." Nathan's voice stayed calm, instructional. "But we're ready. We have documentation. We have witnesses. We have video evidence. We have their own social media posts. They can attack all they want. Truth is truth." That night, Lily lay in bed listening to voices outside. Nathan and the patrol officer talking quietly. Sergeant's occasional movement in the hallway. Margaret's television playing softly in the next room. For 8 months, this house had felt like a tomb. Quiet, empty, suffocating with grief. Tonight, it felt protected. The next morning came too fast. The arraignment was at 9 a.m. Nathan insisted Lily stay home, but she refused. "I need to see it," she said. "Need to see them facing consequences." "It's going to be ugly." "Everything's been ugly. I can handle it." They arrived at the courthouse at 8:30. Media vans lined the street, cameras everywhere, reporters shouting questions. Nathan guided Lily through the crowd, Sergeant clearing a path just by presence. Margaret holding tight to Lily's free hand. Inside the courtroom, It was standing room only. 3 separate defense tables. Brandon sat at one with his father and 2 lawyers in expensive suits. Ashley at another, with her mother and 1 lawyer. Tyler at the third, with both parents, looking like he might vomit. When Lily entered, every head turned. Cameras clicked. Whispers spread. Brandon's eyes found hers across the room. No smirk now, no confidence, just rage barely contained. "All rise," the bailiff called. Judge Patricia Monroe entered. She was in her 60s, black, with silver streaks in her hair, and an expression that suggested she'd heard every excuse and believed none of them. She sat, gestured for everyone else to sit, surveyed the packed courtroom with raised eyebrows. "Well," she said, "this is quite the circus. Let's get started." The prosecutor stood, a young woman named Sarah Chen, sharp and determined. "Your Honor, the state is charging 3 juveniles with multiple counts of assault, harassment, cyberbullying, and conspiracy. We're also charging Richard Pierce, an adult, with witness intimidation and obstruction of justice." "I've reviewed the charging documents," Judge Monroe said. "They're extensive. Defense, how do your clients plead?" Brandon's lead lawyer stood. "Not guilty, Your Honor. My client maintains his innocence and, save the speech, plea only." "Not guilty," Ashley's lawyer. "Not guilty, Your Honor," Tyler's lawyer. "Your Honor, my client wishes to discuss a plea arrangement. He's prepared to cooperate fully with—" "Not at arraignment, Counselor. We'll schedule a separate hearing. For now. Plea?" "Not guilty under advisement." Richard Pierce's lawyer stood. "Your Honor, these charges are baseless. My client is a respected businessman and community leader. This is a politically motivated, I said plea only. Save your arguments for trial." "Not guilty." "Fine. Let's discuss bail." Judge Monroe looked at the prosecutor. "Recommendations?" "Given the severity of the charges and evidence of witness intimidation occurring as recently as last night, the state requests the juvenile defendants be held in detention pending trial. For Mr. Pierce, we request high bail with GPS monitoring." "Last night?" The judge's attention sharpened. "Elaborate." Sarah Chen pulled out printouts of the texts. "The victim received 17 threatening messages between 7 and 10 p.m. yesterday from anonymous numbers. Our investigation traced them to phones registered to friends of the defendants. The messages constitute clear witness intimidation and death threats." Brandon's lawyer shot to his feet. "Your Honor, there's no proof my client had any involvement. One of the messages references my lawyers and my dad," Sarah interrupted. "Content analysis matches Brandon Pierce's documented speech patterns. Another references the victim's Navy boyfriend. Information only someone following yesterday's news coverage would know. These aren't random threats. They're coordinated intimidation." Judge Monroe held out her hand. Sarah passed up the printouts. The judge read them, her expression darkening with each page. "Who do you think you are?" she said finally, looking directly at Brandon. "Who do you think you are to threaten a witness, to continue harassing a victim even after charges are filed?" "Your Honor, I didn't," Brandon started. "Stand up when you address the court." Brandon stood, his composure cracking. "I didn't send those messages. I don't know anything about them." "But you know who did." Silence. "That's what I thought." Judge Monroe set down the papers. "Here's what's going to happen. Bail for Brandon Pierce is set at $200,000. He will wear a GPS ankle monitor. He will have no electronic devices except a basic phone for emergencies. He will have no internet access. He will have no contact with the victim, her family, or any witnesses. He will not leave his home except for school, court appearances, and lawyer meetings. Violation of any of these terms means immediate detention. Your Honor, that's excessive for a juvenile, Brandon's lawyer protested. Your juvenile client orchestrated a campaign of terror that drove a disabled girl to contemplate suicide, then threatened her after being charged. I could remand him to detention right now. Consider this mercy. Judge Monroe turned to Ashley. Same terms. Bail set at $150,000. Your Honor, my client is a model student with no prior record. These charges are vastly exaggerated. Counselor, I have 17,000 screenshots of your client's social media posts tormenting the victim. I have video of her participating in physical assault. I have testimony from 3 other victims. Model students don't do those things. Bail stands. Tyler's lawyer wisely said nothing when the judge applied the same terms. Then Judge Monroe looked at Richard Pierce. As for you, Mr. Pierce, you threatened an elderly woman who came to you for help. You used your position on the school board to suppress legitimate complaints. You attempted to intimidate a detective conducting a criminal investigation. You are the reason this went as far as it did. Bail is set at $500,000. GPS, monitoring, same contact restrictions, and I'm issuing a temporary restraining order preventing you from any involvement in school board matters pending the outcome of this case. You can't do that, Richard said. I have a right. You have the right to remain silent. I suggest you exercise it. Judge Monroe's voice could have cut glass. You used your money and influence to protect a predator, your own son. You enabled him to hurt vulnerable children. You threatened witnesses. You obstructed justice. And you did it all while sitting on a school board, a position of trust and responsibility. I can absolutely remove you pending trial. And I just did. Richard's face turned purple. This is a witch hunt. Political correctness run. Bailiff, if Mr. Pierce speaks again without being addressed, hold him in contempt. Richard's lawyer grabbed his arm, forced him to sit down. Next hearing is scheduled for 2 weeks from today. Prosecution, I expect discovery to be complete by then. Defense, file your motions by end of business Friday. This court is adjourned. The gavel came down like thunder. In the hallway outside, reporters mobbed the defendants and their families. Brandon pushed through without comment, his face a mask of fury. Ashley cried dramatically for the cameras. Tyler looked shell-shocked. Richard Pierce stopped, faced the cameras, and said the worst thing he could have said. This is a miscarriage of justice. My son is being persecuted for being successful, for being popular, for having opportunities that others envy. The alleged victim is a mentally unstable girl seeking attention and money. This is extortion dressed up as advocacy. We will fight these baseless charges, and we will win. The words hung in the air. Jennifer Hayes, the reporter from yesterday, stepped forward. Mr. Pierce, are you saying Lily Anderson is lying about being bullied? I'm saying she's exaggerating, manipulating, playing victim for sympathy and financial gain. What financial gain? She hasn't filed a civil suit. Yet. This is clearly building toward a lawsuit. My lawyers have advised me. Your lawyers clearly didn't advise you to stop talking, Nathan said, appearing beside Richard with Sargent at his heel. Because you just defamed a minor on camera. That's another lawsuit. Want to go for 3? Richard's lawyer grabbed him, tried to pull him away, but Richard jerked free. You don't scare me, soldier. I've dealt with your type before. All posturing, no substance. You think playing hero makes you special? You're nobody. A washed-up veteran playing guardian to a damaged girl because you've got nothing better to do. I think you should stop talking, Nathan said quietly. Or what? You'll assault me? Please do. Give me another lawsuit. I won't touch you. Don't need to. You're destroying yourself just fine. Nathan pulled out his phone. That speech you just gave? Defamation. public harassment of a minor, violation of the judge's order to have no contact with the victim. All on camera, all recordable, all prosecutable. Richard's face went white. "You should have listened to your lawyers," Nathan said. "Should have kept quiet. Should have shown even a shred of remorse. But you couldn't, could you? Because you actually believe you're untouchable. That money and influence make you invincible. Your son learned it from you. And now you'll both learn the same lesson. No one's untouchable when they're wrong." Detective Santos appeared, 2 uniformed officers with her. "Mr. Pierce, you just violated court order. I'm placing you under arrest for contempt and harassment." "You can't. This is public property. I have freedom of speech." "You have the right to remain silent. Let's see if you finally use it." Santos nodded to the officers. They moved in with handcuffs. "Don't touch me. Do you know who I am?" "A man under arrest." The cuffs clicked closed. "Anything you say can and will be used against you." The cameras captured everything. Richard Pierce, wealthy developer and school board member, being arrested on the courthouse steps, still protesting his innocence, still claiming persecution. Brandon watched from 50 feet away, his face ashen. His father, his protection, his shield, his excuse, being led away in handcuffs because he couldn't shut up. Ashley's mother pulled her daughter toward their car, both crying. Tyler's parents just stood there, looking like their world had ended. Nathan found Lily in the crowd. "You okay?" She nodded slowly. "Is it always going to be like this? This crazy?" No. This was the fever breaking, the moment everything shifts. After this, they'll lawyer up properly. Keep quiet. Try to plea bargain. This was their last gasp of entitled rage. He paused. "And they just made our case so much stronger." "How?" "Richard defamed you on camera, violated court order on camera, got arrested on camera. That footage will play at trial. We'll show the jury exactly who we're dealing with. Showed the world what kind of man raises a bully." Nathan's expression softened. "Your father used to say that arrogance is a tactical advantage for the other side. Arrogant enemies make mistakes. Richard just made his biggest one." That afternoon, the FBI interview happened in a quiet conference room with Agent Michelle Park, a woman in her 40s who specialized in cybercrime. She was patient, thorough, and kind. "I know this is hard," she said to Lily, "but I need you to walk me through every incident you remember, every post, every threat, every moment you felt unsafe." Lily talked for 2 hours. Sargent never left her side. Nathan sat nearby, silent but present. Margaret held her hand. When it was over, Agent Park closed her notebook. "Lily, you're one of the bravest people I've met. What you've survived, what you're doing now, it matters. It's going to help change laws, help protect other kids." "Will they go to jail?" Lily asked. "I can't promise outcomes, but I can promise we're building the strongest case possible. Federal charges carry serious weight. Judges and juries take them seriously." Park paused. "And Lily, you're not alone in this. There are 16 other victims across 4 states who experienced similar harassment from online groups connected to Brandon Pierce. You coming forward gave them courage to speak up too. This is bigger than just your school now." That night, exhausted, Lily fell asleep on the couch with Sargent's head on her lap. Margaret covered her with a blanket. Nathan sat at the kitchen table, reading through legal documents, preparing for the next phase. His phone rang. Blocked number. He almost didn't answer, then changed his mind. "Cross, you made a mistake." The voice was young, male, disguised with a voice modulator.
You should have stayed out of this. Now you're a target too. Who is this?
Someone who protects his friends. Someone who doesn't let outsiders ruin good people's lives. Brandon's friends? Brandon's army. You think 3 people bullied that girl? There are dozens of us, hundreds on social media. You can't stop all of us. And we're coming for her. For you. For everyone who turned on him. Nathan's voice stayed calm. You're making a mistake. This call is being recorded, traced. You just threatened a federal witness and a retired military officer. That's a felony. You can't prove who I am. I don't have to. The FBI will. They're very good at tracking digital threats. Nathan paused. But here's what you should know. I've survived 3 deployments in active combat zones. I've faced enemies who actually knew how to fight. You're just scared kids hiding behind screens. You don't scare me. You just prove my point.
What point?
That this goes deeper than 3 bullies. That there's a culture of cruelty that needs to be rooted out entirely. So thank you. You just helped me understand how big this really is. The line went dead. Nathan immediately called Detective Santos, reported the threat, sent her the recording. Then he checked the locks, confirmed Sergeant was alert, and returned to his work. Outside, a car idled in the darkness, watching the house. Inside, Lily slept, unaware that the battle was far from over, that the real fight was just beginning, and that Nathan Cross had just realized this wasn't about 3 bullies anymore. It was about an entire system that needed to be torn down and rebuilt. The car outside moved at 2 a.m. Nathan saw it through the window, headlights off, engine quiet, rolling slowly past the house. He was already on his feet, phone in hand, Sergeant alert beside him.
Santos, there's a vehicle doing surveillance on the Anderson residence. 3rd pass in an hour. Patrol's 2 minutes out. Stay inside. Don't engage.
Copy that. But the car didn't leave. It stopped 3 houses down, idling, waiting. Nathan moved to Lily's room, found her still sleeping, exhausted from the day's testimony. Margaret was awake in the next room, sitting up in bed with her rosary clutched in arthritic hands.
Is someone out there?
She whispered. Patrol's coming.
Lock your door. Don't open it for anyone but me or police.
The sirens approached. The car's engine roared to life, tires squealing as it fled. By the time patrol arrived, it was gone. But the message was clear. They knew where Lily lived. They were watching. They wanted her afraid. I'm moving you, Nathan said the next morning over breakfast. Both of you. Somewhere safe until trial. This is our home, Margaret protested. We can't just leave. Your home has been compromised. They know where you live. They're escalating. Last night was a warning. Next time might not be. Lily pushed food around her plate, her appetite gone. Where would we even go? I have a place. Small house, gated community, security system. Belonged to a buddy from my unit. He's deployed. Offered it when I told him what was happening. We can't afford. It's free. He insists. Says protecting the daughter of a fallen brother is the least he can do. Nathan set down his coffee.
Pack essentials. We move today.
What about school? Lily asked. Online classes until this is resolved. Principal Hoffman agreed to it this morning. Actually, he didn't have much choice after the superintendent placed him on administrative leave, pending investigation. They fired him? Suspended. With pay, unfortunately. But it's a start. The new interim principal is a woman named Dr. Patricia Moore, former military, Marines. She's already implementing new anti-bullying protocols and reviewing every complaint filed in the past 5 years. Margaret's hands trembled as she set down her tea. This is really happening. They're really coming after us. They're trying. They won't succeed.
Nathan's voice carried absolute certainty. "But I need you both to trust me, to let me do my job. Your father left me with one mission, Lily. Keep you safe. I don't fail missions." They moved that afternoon. The house Nathan described was modest but secure. Tall fence, cameras at every entrance, alarm system that would wake the dead. Margaret took the main bedroom. Lily got the smaller one overlooking the backyard. Nathan set up in the living room with his laptop and files. Sergeant immediately did a perimeter check, sniffing every corner, every door, establishing his new territory. "He's thorough," Lily observed. "He's trained, and he's protective of you now. Your pack." Nathan pulled out his phone as it buzzed. "It's Detective Santos. I need to take this." He stepped outside. Through the window, Lily watched him pace, his expression darkening with whatever he was hearing. When he came back in, his jaw was set. "What happened?" Margaret asked. "Tyler Chen's family contacted the prosecutor. He wants to cooperate. Full testimony against Brandon and Ashley in exchange for reduced charges." "That's good, right?" Lily said. "It's complicated." Tyler was the documentarian. He filmed everything, posted everything. But he's also the weakest link. He'll testify that Brandon orchestrated the entire campaign, that Ashley recruited other girls to participate, that it was planned, systematic, intentional. So why is it complicated? Because his testimony will expose how many people were involved. It wasn't just 3 kids, Lily. Tyler's saying there were 27 students actively participating in the harassment. Dozens more who knew and said nothing. Teachers who saw and looked away. Administrators who buried complaints. Nathan sat down heavily. "This is bigger than I thought. This is institutional." The weight of that settled over the room like fog. 27? Margaret whispered. 27 children were tormenting my granddaughter? According to Tyler's statement, yes. Some posted, some spread rumors, some created fake accounts, some just laughed and encouraged, but all participated. Nathan looked at Lily. He's naming names, providing evidence. The prosecutor is deciding whether to charge them all or offer immunity for testimony. Lily felt sick. 27 people had hated her enough to actively try to destroy her. 27 people she'd passed in hallways, sat near in classes, existed alongside every day. "I can't go back there," she said quietly. "Even if they're punished. I can't face that many people who wanted me gone." "You don't have to. We'll figure out alternatives. Different school, online academy, homeschooling, whatever you need." Nathan leaned forward. "But Lily, understand this. Tyler's cooperation changes everything. This isn't about 3 bullies anymore. This is about a culture, a system, and the prosecutor wants to make an example, wants to send the message that this behavior won't be tolerated, that there are consequences. But that means this gets bigger before it gets better." "How much bigger?" "Tyler's hearing is tomorrow. If he pleads guilty and agrees to testify, the media coverage will be intense. Your name will be everywhere. Other victims will be named. The school will be under federal investigation. The whole district will be scrutinized. It becomes a national story." "I didn't want this," Lily said, tears starting. "I just wanted them to stop. I didn't want to be famous, didn't want to be a cause." Margaret moved to her granddaughter, wrapped her in a hug. "You're not a cause, sweetheart. You're a survivor. And sometimes surviving inspires others." Nathan's phone rang again. He glanced at the screen, his expression tightening. "It's Agent Park, FBI." He answered on speaker. "Agent Park. Commander Cross, we've traced the threatening calls from last night. You need to hear this." "I'm listening."
The calls came from phones registered to students at Riverside High.
But here's where it gets interesting. The voice modulation software used? Military grade. Sophisticated. The kind that requires technical knowledge to operate. Someone with IT experience? Or military experience? We're cross-referencing students with family in tech or defense sectors. Park paused. But there's more. We found a private Discord server with 347 members, all students from Riverside and 3 neighboring schools. The server was created 2 years ago. It's called The Untouchables. Nathan's expression went cold. What's on the server? Everything. Organized harassment campaigns against dozens of students, shared techniques for cyberbullying, tips on avoiding detection, mock trials where members vote on new targets. Lily Anderson was target number 47. They voted on her, decided as a group to make her life hell. Lily's knees buckled. Margaret caught her, guided her to the couch. Sargent immediately moved to her side, pressing against her legs. 47 targets? Nathan's voice was ice. Over 2 years? That we can verify so far. Could be more. The server has been scrubbed periodically. We're recovering deleted data. Park's voice softened. Commander, this is organized, sophisticated. These aren't just kids being cruel. This is a coordinated group with leadership, structure, and methodology. Who runs it? Still determining that. The server admin account is encrypted, but based on message patterns and linguistic analysis, we have 3 primary suspects. Brandon Pierce is one, but he's not the founder. Someone else created this. Someone older, more technically skilled. A teacher? Possibly. Or a former student. Or someone in the community with access to these kids. We're investigating. Park hesitated. Commander, this investigation just became federal priority. FBI's Violent Crimes Against Children Division is taking over. Full resources, full support. This is big. The call ended. The room sat in stunned silence. 347 members, Margaret finally said. How is that possible? How did that many children become monsters? They're not monsters, Nathan said quietly. They're kids who learned that cruelty has no consequences, that popularity matters more than kindness, that fitting in requires stepping on others. They're products of a system that values status over character. That doesn't excuse what they did. No, but it explains it. An explanation helps us fix it. Nathan stood, paced. This changes the strategy. We're not just prosecuting 3 bullies. We're exposing an entire network. That means protection for Lily increases. That means witness security protocols. That means the house alarm shrieked. Nathan moved instantly, positioning himself between the door and Lily. Sargent was on his feet, alert, focused. Margaret grabbed Lily, pulled her behind the couch. Stay down, Nathan commanded. He pulled out his phone, checked the security camera feed. Someone's at the back fence, trying to climb over. Police? Margaret whispered. Already called. Automatic alarm notification. Nathan watched the feed. 2 people, young, male. They're running now. Cameras got their faces. Sirens approached. The figures disappeared into the night. 5 minutes later, Detective Santos arrived with 3 patrol cars. We got them, 2 blocks away. 17 and 16 years old. Students at Riverside. Names are Derek Matthews and James Sullivan. Ring any bells? Lily's face went white. Derek was in my history class. James was on the lacrosse team with Brandon. Part of the Discord server? We're checking now, but I'm betting yes. Santos looked at Nathan. This is escalating fast. They're not just threatening online anymore. They're physically trying to reach her. What were they planning? They're not talking. Lawyered up immediately. But one of them had spray paint. The other had a phone set to record. My guess? Vandalism and humiliation. Filmed themselves defacing the house, posted online. Prove they can get to her. They failed, Nathan said. This time. But Commander, they're getting bolder, more desperate. When the Tyler cooperation news breaks tomorrow, it's going to get worse.
These kids are going to panic. Panic makes people stupid and dangerous. What do you recommend?
Honestly, witness protection. Move Lily and Mrs. Anderson to a secure location until trial. Full protection detail. No. Lily's voice cut through the conversation. She stood up, shaking but determined. No, I won't hide. Won't let them win by making me disappear. Lily, this isn't about winning or losing, Nathan started. Yes, it is. That's exactly what it's about. If I hide, they win.
They prove that threatening someone works, that scaring someone makes them go away. And the next victim learns that there's no point in fighting back, because even if you do, you still have to run. Lily's voice strengthened. My father didn't run from danger. He faced it. And I'm his daughter. I'm not running. Nathan and Santos exchanged looks. She's right, Nathan said finally. Running teaches the wrong lesson. But we increase security, armed detail, 24/7 surveillance. Sergeant stays with her constantly. No exceptions. I can arrange that, Santos said. But Lily, you need to understand the risk. I understand. They want me scared. They want me silent. They want me gone. But I'm done giving them what they want. Lily looked at Nathan. You said my father left you a mission. Well, he left me one too. To live. To be strong. To honor what he stood for. I can't do that hiding in a safe house. I have to stand up. Even if I'm terrified. Especially if I'm terrified. The next morning, Tyler Chen's hearing was packed. Media everywhere. Students from Riverside filled the gallery. Tyler sat at the defense table, looking like he'd aged 5 years overnight. His lawyer stood when the judge entered. Your Honor, my client wishes to change his plea to guilty and has agreed to full cooperation with the prosecution in exchange for reduced sentencing. Mr. Chen, do you understand what you're doing? The judge asked. Yes, Your Honor. Tyler's voice barely carried across the courtroom. You're pleading guilty to assault, harassment, and cyberbullying. You're agreeing to testify against your co-defendants. You understand this makes you a target for retaliation. I understand, but I also understand that what we did was wrong, really wrong, and I'm tired of being part of it. Proceed. The prosecutor stood. Mr. Chen has provided information about a larger network of students engaged in systematic harassment. With the court's permission, I'd like to enter his full statement into the record. Objection, Brandon's lawyer called out. My client has a right to cross-examine. This is a change of plea hearing, not a trial. Sit down. The judge nodded to the prosecutor. Continue. The prosecutor read Tyler's statement. Every word was a bomb. Names of students involved, descriptions of campaigns against dozens of victims, details about the Discord server, screenshots of conversations planning harassment, video evidence Tyler had kept as insurance. When she finished, the courtroom was silent. Then chaos erupted. Students named in the statement stood, shouting denials. Parents screamed about false accusations. Lawyers demanded mistrial. The judge's gavel pounded repeatedly. Order! I will have order, or I will clear this courtroom. But the damage was done. The truth was out. 27 names. 47 victims. 2 years of documented cruelty. And in the back of the courtroom, Lily sat between Nathan and her grandmother, watching the students who'd tormented her face their own reckoning. Brandon's face had gone from red to purple. He stood suddenly, pointing at Tyler. You lying piece of— Sit down, Mr. Pierce, the judge commanded. He's making this up, all of it. He's trying to save himself by destroying everyone else. Bailiff, if Mr. Pierce speaks again, remove him from this courtroom.
But Brandon was past caring. You want to know the truth? Fine. Here's the truth. She deserved it. Every bit of it. Walking around like we should feel sorry for her. Like her dead daddy makes her special. Like her crippled leg makes her untouchable. She was pathetic. Weak. And we did everyone a favor trying to make her leave. The words echoed through the courtroom. Every camera captured them. Every reporter wrote them down. Every witness heard them. Brandon's lawyer grabbed his arm, tried to force him to sit, but Brandon jerked away. You all want to blame me? Blame the school? Blame society? Blame anyone but her? She's the problem. She's always been the problem. And Tyler's a coward for pretending otherwise. That's enough. Nathan's voice carried across the courtroom as he stood. Your Honor, permission to address the defendant's outburst? Denied. This is a court of law, not a debate forum. With respect, Your Honor, the defendant just admitted to the harassment, confirmed malicious intent, and demonstrated the exact mentality that led to these charges. His statement should be entered into the record. The judge considered this. So noted. The defendant's outburst will be transcribed and entered as evidence. Mr. Pierce, you just confessed in open court. I hope your lawyer explains to you what you've done. Brandon finally seemed to understand. His face went from purple to white. He sat down hard. The hearing concluded, with Tyler receiving probation and mandatory counseling in exchange for his testimony. He'd have a record, but avoid detention. He'd face social consequences, but avoid the worst legal ones. As he left the courtroom, he stopped near Lily. I know saying sorry doesn't fix anything, he said quietly. I know I helped destroy your life. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. But I am sorry. Really, genuinely sorry. And I'm going to spend a long time trying to figure out how I became someone who could do those things. Lily looked at him, saw actual remorse in his eyes, actual understanding of what he'd done. I hope you figure it out, she said, and I hope you help others figure it out too, before they make the same mistakes. Tyler nodded, turned away, and walked out, flanked by his parents and lawyer. Outside, the media circus had tripled. News vans from national networks, reporters from major papers, camera crews from network news programs. The story had gone viral overnight. The Untouchables Discord server was trending on social media. Riverside High School was under federal investigation. The superintendent had resigned. And Lily Anderson, 17-year-old daughter of a fallen SEAL, had become the face of a movement she'd never asked to lead. Jennifer Hayes found her in the crowd. Lily, can I ask you a few questions? Lily looked at Nathan. He nodded. How do you feel about Tyler's plea? Jennifer asked. I feel like one person finally took responsibility. That's more than I expected. Lily paused. But I also feel like this is just beginning. Like the people named in his statement will fight back. Like it's going to get worse before it gets better. Are you afraid? Terrified. But being afraid doesn't mean doing nothing. My father taught me that. Commander Cross taught me that. Being afraid just means you understand the stakes, but you fight anyway. What do you want to happen to the others, the 27 students named in the statement? Lily thought about that. About 27 people who'd actively worked to destroy her. About their parents, their futures, their lives. I want them to understand what they did. Really understand. Not just that they broke laws, but that they hurt a real person. That their entertainment was my nightmare. That their jokes were my reasons to want to die. Her voice caught. I want them to change, to become better, to make sure no one else ever feels how I felt. If punishment does that, fine. If counseling does that, fine.
I don't care about revenge. I care about making sure this never happens to anyone else." The interview ended. The crowd pressed in. Security, real security now, off-duty officers hired by the SEAL Foundation, moved Lily toward the car. That's when someone threw the bottle. It came from the crowd, arcing through the air, filled with red liquid that looked disturbingly like blood. It smashed at Lily's feet, splattering her jeans, her shoes, the pavement. "Snitch!" someone screamed. "Ruining people's lives!" Nathan moved instantly, shielded Lily with his body. Sergeant positioned himself in front of both of them, his bark sharp and authoritative. Security converged. Police rushed forward. But the damage was done. Someone had gotten close enough to throw something. Someone had targeted her in a crowd. Someone had proven she wasn't safe, even surrounded by protection. "Get her in the car," Nathan commanded. "Now!" They moved fast. Lily flanked by security, Nathan behind her, Sergeant at her side. The car doors slammed. They pulled away from the courthouse, sirens wailing. In the back seat, Lily stared at her red-stained jeans and shaking hands. "It was just paint," Nathan said. "Just paint and water. Not blood, not dangerous." "This time," Lily whispered. "What about next time?" Nathan had no answer for that. Because they both knew the same thing. This wasn't over. This wasn't even close to over. And the real battle was just beginning. The safe house felt like a prison that night. Lily sat on the couch, still in her paint-stained jeans, staring at nothing. Margaret tried to get her to eat. Nathan tried to get her to talk. Sergeant tried to get her to move. Nothing worked. "I can't do this anymore," Lily finally said. Her voice was hollow, empty. "I thought I could be brave. I thought I could stand up. But they're never going to stop. There are too many of them, and I'm just one girl with a leg brace and a dead father." "Lily," Nathan started. "No, you don't understand. You're a Navy SEAL. You're trained for this. You know how to fight. But I'm just me. I'm nobody, and they've proven they can get to me anywhere. Courthouse, safe house, it doesn't matter. They'll find me. They'll hurt me. And eventually, they'll win." Margaret's hand shook as she set down her tea. "Sweetheart, you can't give up now. Not after everything." "Why not? What's the point?" "Tyler cooperated, and they threw a bottle at me. They named 27 students, and someone tried to climb our fence. The FBI is investigating, and they're getting bolder, not scared. What happens when the trial actually starts? What happens when I have to testify? They'll kill me, Grandma. Actually kill me. And no amount of security will stop someone determined enough." Nathan crouched in front of her, forcing eye contact. "You're right." Lily blinked. "What?" "You're right. They might get to you, might hurt you. Security isn't perfect. Protection has limits. And yes, someone determined enough could find a way." He paused. "But here's what you're forgetting. You're not fighting alone. You've got me. You've got your grandmother. You've got Detective Santos and Agent Park and every SEAL who served with your father. You've got every victim who's come forward because you gave them courage. You've got a community that's finally waking up to what's been happening. You're not one girl anymore, Lily. You're a movement." "I don't want to be a movement. I just wanted them to stop hurting me." "I know, but sometimes we don't get to choose what we become. We only get to choose whether we run from it or rise to it." Nathan's voice softened. "Your father faced that choice every day. Every mission he could have quit. Could have said it was too dangerous, too hard, too much. But he didn't. Because he believed some things are worth the risk, worth the fear, worth the sacrifice. He died for that belief." "He did, and he knew he might. But he went anyway, because protecting people mattered more than protecting himself." Nathan took her hands. I'm not asking you to die, Lily. I'm asking you to live, to fight, to show them that you can't be broken. That's what your father would want. That's what he died believing you'd do. Lily's tears finally came, hot and heavy and cleansing. Margaret pulled her into a hug. Nathan stayed close. Sargent pressed against her legs, and slowly, the hollowness filled with something else. Determination. The next morning, Agent Park called with news that changed everything. "We found the Discord server creator," she said over speakerphone, "and you're not going to believe who it is." "Who?" Nathan asked. "Jeffrey Pierce, Richard Pierce's older brother, age 34, works in IT security, lives 2 towns over, has no kids at Riverside High. But he created the server 2 years ago and has been running it ever since." The room went silent. "Brandon's uncle?" Nathan said finally. "Correct. We traced the encrypted admin account through VPN layers and payment records." Jeffrey Pierce created the Untouchables as what he called a social experiment in consequence-free hierarchy. He recruited students from wealthy families, taught them techniques, encouraged escalation, and protected them when complaints arose by using his brother's influence. "This was planned," Detective Santos said, joining the call. "From the beginning. This wasn't kids being cruel. This was an adult orchestrating systematic abuse of minors." "Why?" Margaret asked. "Why would someone do that?" "We're still investigating motive, but his digital footprint suggests extreme views about social Darwinism, survival of the fittest, weeding out weakness. He believed he was creating stronger individuals by forcing them to face adversity." Park's voice hardened. "What he actually created was trauma, suicide attempts, and destroyed lives." "Where is he now?" Nathan asked. "In custody. Arrested this morning on federal charges of conspiracy, cyberbullying, harassment of minors, and obstruction of justice. He's facing 20 years minimum." "Does Brandon know?" "We're about to find out. His lawyer is being informed now." Within an hour, Brandon Pierce's legal strategy collapsed. His uncle, his mentor, according to seized text messages, was the architect of everything. Brandon wasn't just a bully. He was a recruited operative in his uncle's twisted experiment, and that changed the entire case. Brandon's lawyer called an emergency meeting with prosecutors. Brandon was ready to cooperate, ready to testify against his uncle, ready to name every adult who knew and helped. "He wants a plea deal," Detective Santos told Nathan and Lily that afternoon. "Full cooperation in exchange for juvenile detention instead of adult prison. His lawyer says he was manipulated by Jeffrey, that he's a victim too." "He's not a victim," Lily said immediately. "He chose to hurt people, chose to mock my father, chose to push me downstairs. No one forced him." "I agree, but his testimony could bring down everyone involved. Teachers who looked away because Jeffrey threatened their jobs. Administrators who buried complaints because Richard donated money. Parents who enabled their kids because Jeffrey convinced them it was character building. This goes deeper than we thought." "What do you recommend?" Nathan asked. "That's not my call. It's Lily's." Santos looked at her. "He hurt you worst of all. You have the right to demand maximum punishment, to reject any deal, to make him face full consequences. But you also have the right to accept cooperation, if it means exposing the whole network and protecting future victims." Lily sat with that weight. Sargent's head rested on her lap, warm and grounding. "I want to talk to him," she said finally. "What?" Nathan's expression darkened. "Absolutely not. I want to look him in the eye and ask him why. I want to understand how someone becomes that cruel. I need closure."
Lily, he doesn't deserve— This isn't about what he deserves. It's about what I need. She looked at Nathan. You said I get to choose how I fight this. This is how. I face him. I ask my questions. I decide if I believe his remorse. Then I decide what happens next. The meeting was arranged for 2 days later in a conference room at the prosecutor's office. Heavy security. Recording devices. Lawyers present. Brandon sat on one side of the table in an orange jumpsuit, his hands cuffed in front of him. Lily sat across from him, Nathan beside her, Sergeant at her feet. Brandon looked different, thinner, younger, scared. You wanted to talk, he said. His voice lacked the arrogance, the confidence, the cruelty. I want to understand, Lily replied. Why me? What did I do that made you decide I deserved everything you did? Brandon was quiet for a long moment. You didn't do anything. That's the truth. You didn't do anything wrong. Then why? Because my uncle told me to. Because he said you were weak, and weakness needed to be eliminated. Because he said I was special, chosen, better than other people. Because he made it sound like I was doing something important, instead of just being a monster. Brandon's voice cracked. And because I liked it. The power, the attention, the way people laughed at my jokes even when they were cruel. I liked feeling superior. Did you know I almost killed myself? Brandon flinched. Not until Tyler's statement, I swear. I thought you were just being dramatic. I didn't think it actually hurt you. You pushed me downstairs. I know. You mocked my dead father. I know. You told me the world would be better without me. I know. Tears tracked down his face. I know what I did. I know there's no excuse. I know sorry doesn't fix anything. But I am sorry. I'm so sorry. Lily studied him, saw genuine remorse there, saw a 17-year-old kid who'd been manipulated by an adult and had made terrible choices, and was finally facing what he'd done. I believe you're sorry, she said. But I also believe you'd do it again if your uncle was still in your ear. If the circumstances were right. If you thought you could get away with it. No, I wouldn't, I swear. You would, because being sorry when you're caught isn't the same as being changed. And you haven't done the work to change yet. You've just done the work to avoid worse consequences. Brandon's lawyer started to speak, but Brandon shook his head. You're right, he said to Lily. You're completely right. I'm sorry because I got caught. Because my life is ruined. Because my uncle's going to prison, and my dad's facing charges, and my future's destroyed. I'm sorry for me, not for you. And that's who I am. That's who my uncle made me. No, Lily said firmly. Your uncle gave you permission, but you made the choices. You threw the punches. You posted the content. You spread the lies. You own that. Not him. You. What do you want from me? I want you to own it publicly. I want you to testify not just against your uncle, but against yourself. I want you to tell every student who followed you why it was wrong. I want you to help dismantle what you helped build. And I want you to spend the rest of your life making sure no one else becomes you. And if I do that, you'll agree to the plea deal? I'll consider it. But Brandon, you don't get to feel better because I forgive you. You don't get redemption from me. You earn that yourself. By being better, by doing better, by actually changing instead of just apologizing. The meeting ended. Brandon was led away, still crying. Outside, Nathan looked at Lily with something like awe. That was the strongest thing I've ever seen anyone do. It didn't feel strong. It felt
necessary. Same thing usually. The trial began 3 weeks later. The courtroom was packed with media, victims, families, and observers. Brandon Pierce, Ashley Morrison, and 24 other students faced charges. Jeffrey Pierce faced separate federal charges. Richard Pierce faced obstruction and conspiracy charges. The prosecution called 47 victims to testify. 47 students who'd been targeted, tormented, and nearly destroyed by the untouchables. Their stories were heartbreaking, consistent, damning. When Lily took the stand, she told her story calmly, clearly, without dramatics. Just facts. Just truth. Brandon's lawyer tried to cross-examine her, tried to poke holes in her testimony, tried to suggest she'd exaggerated. Ms. Anderson, isn't it true that you have a history of depression and anxiety? Yes. And isn't it possible that your mental health issues made normal teenage interactions seem worse than they were? No, normal teenage interactions don't include being pushed downstairs, don't include organized campaigns to make someone kill themselves, don't include 347 people voting on whether to target you. But you admit you were emotionally fragile. I admit I was grieving my dead parents and being tortured by classmates. If that makes me fragile, then yes, but it doesn't make me wrong. The lawyer had no response to that. Brandon testified per his plea agreement. He detailed everything: how his uncle recruited him, how the Discord server worked, how they chose targets, how they escalated, how they covered tracks, how they threatened anyone who tried to intervene. His testimony destroyed any remaining defense the other students had. Ashley testified next, tearful and apologetic, claiming she'd been pressured by Brandon, manipulated by Jeffrey, caught up in something she didn't understand. The prosecution showed messages of her recruiting other girls, planning campaigns, celebrating when victims left school. The jury didn't buy her act. The trial lasted 8 days. The jury deliberated 4 hours. Guilty on all counts for Brandon, Ashley, and 17 other students. Insufficient evidence to convict 7 who'd been named but had minimal involvement. Sentencing came a week later. Brandon Pierce, 3 years juvenile detention, 5 years probation, mandatory counseling, community service at suicide prevention centers, permanent record. Ashley Morrison, 2 years juvenile detention, 3 years probation, mandatory counseling, banned from social media until age 21. The others received varying sentences based on their involvement. Jeffrey Pierce received the maximum federal sentence, 22 years in prison. Richard Pierce received 18 months for obstruction and conspiracy, forfeited his school board position, and was ordered to pay $200,000 to Victim Support Services. Principal Hoffman was fired. 3 teachers were suspended. The superintendent had already resigned, and Riverside High School was placed under federal monitoring for 3 years. When the sentencing was read, Lily sat in the gallery between Nathan and her grandmother, holding both their hands. She didn't feel victorious, didn't feel vindicated, just felt tired. "It's over," Margaret whispered. "It's finally over." But Nathan shook his head slightly. "It's not over. It's just beginning." He was right. Within a month, Lily was invited to speak at a national anti-bullying conference, then a state legislative hearing about cyberbullying laws, then a documentary about the Untouchables case, then schools across the country requesting her to speak to students. "I don't know if I can do this," she told Nathan before her first speaking engagement. "You don't have to. You can walk away. Live quietly. Focus on your recovery." But you have a gift. You survived something horrific and came out stronger. You have the ability to help others survive too. That's rare, valuable, important.
He paused. Your father had that gift. He used it to protect people. You can too. Different battlefield, same mission. Lily gave her first speech at Riverside High School's new mandatory anti-bullying assembly. The same hallways where she'd been tormented. The same auditorium where Brandon had mocked her. The same students who'd watched and said nothing. She stood at the podium, leg brace visible, sergeant at her side, and told her truth. 8 months ago, I wanted to die. I counted pills, wrote a note, decided living hurt too much. The people who made me feel that way are facing consequences now. But consequences don't undo damage. They don't erase trauma. They don't bring back the girl I was before. The auditorium was silent. I'm different now, harder, more cautious, less trusting. The bullying changed me permanently. But so did fighting back. So did having people who refused to give up on me. So did learning that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's action despite fear. She paused, looking at faces in the crowd, some ashamed, some sympathetic, some still hostile. Some of you were part of what happened to me. You posted, you laughed, you participated. You're sitting here angry that your friends faced consequences, thinking I'm the villain for speaking up. I see you. I know who you are. And I want you to know something. The tension thickened. I forgive you, gasps rippled through the crowd. Not because you deserve it, not because what you did was okay, but because carrying hate for all of you would destroy me more than you already did. Forgiveness isn't for you, it's for me. It's choosing to let go of the power you had over my life. She gripped the podium. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, doesn't mean trusting, doesn't mean there won't be consequences if you continue these patterns. It means I'm choosing to move forward instead of staying trapped in what you did to me. To the students who watched and said nothing, you're not innocent. Silence is participation. Silence is permission. Silence is complicity. If you see someone being bullied and you do nothing, you're part of the problem. To the students who are being bullied right now, you're not alone. You're not weak. You're not the problem. Tell someone. Document everything. Ask for help. Fight back. You're worth protecting. I promise. And to everyone here, bullying isn't a rite of passage. It's not character building. It's not just kids being kids. It's violence. It's abuse. It's torture. And it needs to stop. Today. Right now. With every single one of you making the choice to be better. She stepped back from the podium to absolute silence. Then one person started clapping. Then another. Then the entire auditorium erupted in applause. Not everyone clapped. Some students sat with arms crossed, faces hard. Some looked ashamed. Some cried. But enough clapped. Enough listened. Enough understood. And that was enough. 6 months after the trial, Lily stood at her father's grave with Nathan and Sargent. She'd visited before, but always with grief too heavy to speak. Today felt different. "Hey, Dad," she said quietly. "I know you can't hear me. Or maybe you can. I don't know how that works. But I wanted to tell you. I made it. I survived. Not just the bullying, but the grief, the pain, the wanting to give up." She touched the headstone, her fingers tracing his name. "Commander Cross kept his promise. He protected me when I couldn't protect myself. He built the case. He stood beside me. He refused to let me disappear. Just like you asked him to." Nathan stood a respectful distance away, giving her space. "I'm starting college next fall. Online first, then maybe campus if I feel ready. I'm studying psychology. Want to help other kids who've been through what I went through. Want to be for them what Nathan was for me." Sargent sat at her feet,
calm and present. "I'm okay, Dad. Finally. Really okay. Not healed completely, not undamaged, but okay. Strong. Fighting. Everything you taught me to be, even when I didn't think I was learning." She wiped her eyes. "I miss you. Every day. But I'm not just surviving anymore. I'm living. I'm helping others. I'm making a difference. I'm honoring what you stood for." She stood, touched the headstone one last time. "Thank you for leaving me, Nathan. Thank you for planning ahead. Thank you for loving me enough to protect me even after you were gone. I'll make you proud, Dad. I promise." Nathan approached, placed his hand on the headstone beside hers. "Mission accomplished, brother," he said quietly. "Your girl's safe. She's strong. She's everything you believed she'd be. You can rest easy now." They walked back to the car together. Lily no longer needed the crutch every day. Physical therapy had helped. The leg brace stayed, but she decorated it with patches and pins that told her story. Not hiding it, owning it. "What happens now?" she asked Nathan. "Now you live. You heal. You help others. You build the life your father wanted you to have." "And you?" "I keep my promise. I stay close. I watch over you. Not because you need protecting anymore, but because you're family, and family doesn't abandon family." "Thank you," Lily said, "for everything. For saving my life. For believing in me. For refusing to give up." "Thank you for being worth saving. For being brave enough to fight back. For honoring your father by becoming someone he'd be proud of." They drove away from the cemetery as the sun set. Sargent in the back seat, Margaret waiting at home with dinner. A future stretching ahead that finally held hope instead of just pain. And in that future, Lily Anderson would become exactly what her father believed she could be: a warrior. Not in combat, but in compassion. A fighter, not with weapons, but with words. A protector, not of nations, but of vulnerable kids who needed someone to refuse to look away. Brandon Pierce would serve his time and eventually emerge a different person. Not redeemed by apology, but changed through years of actual work, actual accountability, actual growth. Ashley Morrison would struggle longer, clinging to victimhood, blaming others, but eventually, slowly, beginning to understand the harm she'd caused. Jeffrey Pierce would spend 2 decades in federal prison, his twisted experiment exposed, his victims vindicated, his legacy one of cautionary warning instead of calculated cruelty. And Riverside High School would transform, not overnight, but gradually, as students learned that courage means standing up, as teachers learned that looking away is complicity, as administrators learned that protecting donors matters less than protecting children. The work wasn't finished. Bullying didn't end because one case was prosecuted. But the message was sent. Clear, loud, unmistakable. There are people who refuse to stay silent, refuse to look away, refuse to let cruelty win. And sometimes, all it takes is one person, one Navy SEAL keeping a promise to his fallen brother, one grandmother refusing to give up, one detective who cares about justice, one girl brave enough to stand up despite her terror, to change everything. Because courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the refusal to let fear win. Justice isn't guaranteed, but must be fought for and documented and demanded. And protecting the vulnerable isn't someone else's responsibility. It's everyone's duty, starting right now, right here, with the choice to be better than the worst things we've seen, and do more than the minimum we think we owe. Because every single person deserves to feel safe in their own life, and that safety is built one brave choice at a time, one person refusing to be silent at a time, one community deciding that enough is enough at a time, until the bullies have nowhere left to hide, and the victims have nowhere left to suffer alone. and the world becomes just a little bit safer for everyone who simply wants to exist without being destroyed for it.